Yeah, this is the segment we call Full Court Press. Right now I have an avid fan and analyst with me. This is Mr. Terrence Byerson. Say hi to the guests.
What's up, y'all?
All right. We're going to talk about the Knicks-Nets brawl right now because I didn't get a chance to touch on it, so I'm just going to enlighten you what happened. J.R. Smith did a fancy dunk, and reports are saying that Isaiah Thomas was telling his players and telling Carmelo Anthony, don't come in the paint. We're going to foul you. Stop being fancy. Those are all reports. Allegedly, we don't know if that's the case. So J.R. Smith was coming down on fast break. Marty Collins fouled him by kind of grabbing him by the neck, pulled him down to the floor. Everybody got chest to chest. Nate Robinson pushed J.R. Smith. They went at it, and it sprawled out a little bit. After everything calmed down, and Carmelo Anthony hit Marty Collins in the face, which escalated it a little more. And at this point, Carmelo has 15 game bans. Everybody else has a little suspensions, and we hope that we can get past this and get back into the game. It's a sad note right now. But just to let you know, after that, Dick Bavetta ejected all 10 players that were on the court at that time. That was Carmelo Anthony, J.R. Smith, Eduardo Nahara, Marcus Camby, Andre Miller. And on the Knicks, it was Nate Robinson, Marty Collins, Channing Frye, David Lee, and Jared Jeffries. At this point, I'm going to ask you, what did you feel when you saw the brawl take place at the Garden?
Well, first of all, my first impression is I think that they're blowing the brawl out of proportion. I think what happened in the Palace, they're basing this brawl on that. There's been fights in basketball since we can remember. There's more fights in baseball, hockey, football, all the other sports. It's more, if you look at it, you would see that yearly there's less fights in basketball. I think that the main issue I have is this, after the brawl was over, of course, is the Isaiah Thomas thing. It's like everybody's saying Isaiah initiated. Everybody's saying Isaiah, everybody's a lip reader now. So Isaiah's the bad guy. He initiated the brawl, which I think that didn't happen. He just said stay out of the paint, which...
It's good that you brought that up, because the reason that I didn't like the way it played out is because, you played basketball in your life, right? You played in the game. It's the heat of the moment. The main thing that gets on my nerves about this is when they say, okay, he said foul him. What coach doesn't say, if you keep going in the paint and showboating, foul him hard? What coach doesn't tell their players that? We don't want them to have fast break, fancy dunks. We don't want them to have free layups. If you're going to foul them hard, make sure they don't make the basket. That's what I don't like. They're trying to target Isaiah Thomas as he being a bad guy.
Of course.
What do you have to say about that?
My whole thing is about them targeting Isaiah. I think it's this Larry Brown thing. Everybody thinks Larry Brown is the god of basketball. Me personally, yeah, he's a good coach. I wouldn't call him a great coach. A lot of people will probably disagree with me, but he's won one championship in the NCAA, and he's won one in the NBA. And look how long it took him to win the NCAA championship. Look at Detroit before he won the championship. That team was already in place. Rick Carlisle was coach of the year with Detroit. He had that system in place. Look at Detroit now. Even without Ben Walter, it's still a good team, so it's a system. I think Larry Brown's overrated, but that's a different thing. We're not talking about that. And, yeah, because George Karl is an alumni, a frat brother, whatever you want to say, of Larry Brown, he had it in for Isaiah. Why are his players in the game with up by 20 points, Carmelo Anthony still in the game, Marcus Camby still in the game? Come on, can somebody explain that J.R. Smith still in the game?
That's still that's interesting as a judgment of a lot of players would take their players out of the game in that situation. You already have a blowout game. Let the younger players play. Let the inexperienced people play. And on another note, do you think that this incident will hurt Carmelo Anthony's image and all-star possibilities?
I think eventually his image will be restored because it does take time. I think 2 years from now, we're going to forget about this. This will not be on the radar anymore. As far as him making an all-star game this year, is that still my personal opinion? The commission already told everybody. If Carmelo Anthony, first of all, if Carmelo Anthony does not get voted in by the fans, he will not make the all-star game this year. He will probably still lead the league in scoring at that time, but I'm quite sure the commissioner had that meeting. When he makes that phone call, he told everybody, except Mark Cuban, who doesn't listen and really don't care, make sure that this guy does not get in the All-Star game. That's my own opinion. I think this guy is all about the image and, this is what we want the NBA to look like. But this is the game, So I think that as far as Carmelo making an All-Star game, that's done this year. I think they're gonna be watching him now, scrutinizing him. So I think it's gonna take like 2 years before he's really, out of the doghouse, so to speak.
I agree with that to a certain extent, but I also feel that it's sad to see that this happens and that overshadows everything he's done. He's elevated his game in the USA team. He gave money back to the school for the gym. He opened up the Carmelo Anthony's Children's Youth Center. And I know that's bad that you did all this and then you hit somebody, you're sending bad messages to the kids. But do you put it on him like that? Does that overshadow everything that he does?
Yes, it does, because this is America, and the NBA is a corporation, and corporations are all about, it's about an image. Every corporation is about an image. It's about what we look like, what are we supposed to look like, what's supposed to happen. So, yeah, I think, as you say, in real life, that should not, that should not have an effect. Mm-hmm. But this is America. That's a corporation, and it's politics. Politics at its best. You're going to see that.
It's definitely bad. Didn't mean to cut you off. It's definitely bad that other sports have fights all the time, but the NBA is being scrutinized right now and putting on a magnifying glass at this extent. But we're going to get on to the next.